Okay, we'll get started now. My name is David Graham. I am the CEO and co-founder of Code Ninjas. I appreciate you joining the executive call today. We had a great week this week at Code Ninjas. We had a lot of people in for Discovery Day. If this is your first exposure to Code Ninjas, we have a lot of different learning channels for you to learn about Code Ninjas, and this is just one of those, this conference call we do every Friday. But after this, you'll probably want to follow up with Marty or Jeff, and I'll give their information at the end of the call. But the next steps are typically to go into Discovery Day, and that's what we did this week with a great group of guys and gals. They from all over the country. We had a couple of signings yesterday, just a lot of great energy in the room. Our team was on their A game, and it was just a lot of fun to see people learn more about what we love to do every single day. So it's actually one of my favorite days of the whole month. We get to meet the new people coming on board, show them what we're about and why we're special. And that's part of this call too. And so let's just jump into it. Code Ninjas was developed from the ground up starting in July of 2016 to be a franchise. That means we started with support materials. That means we started with videos and training and understanding that we were going to have to build a system and a set of policies and procedures that was greater than just opening a business. Having a small business and opening it up is great. I mean, you can work your tail off and make a lot of money in a mom and pop type shop. But if you don't think about all the necessity for scaling a business, all the things that are needed in order to make it get bigger than you can do by yourself, it's really hard to go from just your mom and pop organization, a onesie-twosie kind of center system, to something that's really big. And so it was important to us, knowing how big we wanted to be and knowing how timely our product was, that we go ahead and make sure that we had everything correct from day one. And that's why we started bringing in franchising people familiar with support, people familiar with technology, people familiar with how the flows and the problems that are going to come up for franchisees way before we even had our first franchisee. And so that was back in July of 2016. We worked for about 6 months perfecting our product, getting everything right, and building our team. So somewhere around February or March, we felt like we had the right team, the right product, and the right time. And we started selling franchises, and we opened our corporate center here in Pearland, Texas. That center opened to a huge fanfare from our local community, and it's still going great today, almost a year in. We started selling franchises around February, like I said. In March, we were able to bring on Algeny and V up in North Carolina. They were our very first franchisees. And from there, it just grew and grew, and the excitement continued to get bigger and bigger. Right now, as it sits today, a little more than 9 months after that, we have 114 franchise centers sold in 26 states. And that is just way bigger than we could have hoped for. But, one of the cool things about it, and everybody always asks us, how are you going to keep up with support? One of the cool things about having started as a franchise is we already thought about that. What happens if even our best dreams are surpassed? Well, we had a system in place so that we could track support tickets. We have a system in place so that we can see what our response times are. We had a system in place to make sure that the technology and the communications tools were there and available to our franchisees, no matter how big we got. And so having started from that place of franchisee support, we really have an opportunity here to be the biggest and the best on the block. And I think we're executing on that right now. We have over 50 centers that are currently in opening, in different stages of opening. We have about 6 or 7 that are in their pre-sale right now. A few this weekend, I think we have a couple of grand openings going on. It's just an exciting time. You can see it in the office when we're talking to people that come in, people who visit us, the PR outreach, and all the different aspects of what we do. The excitement is growing. It's snowballing. It's getting bigger and bigger every single day. And so that's a lot of fun. So that's a fun place to work. It's a fun place to become a part of. So let me tell you a little bit about why I think the excitement level keeps growing. Why do we keep getting better and better? I think it's because when we started building our product, we really looked at what the marketplace already had and why those products out there in the marketplace weren't super successful at getting people's attention. What we have today is what we had before us, rather, is that they took traditional education models and then tried to put a pretty technical and complex program together on top of that and tried to make kids do it. And so kids already go to school 5 days a week in most cities, for about 8 hours a day. They did not want to have more time at school. No kid ever said, hey, can I go and do more school after school? I mean, maybe a few, but very, very few kids are like that. And so we looked at how can we make it more kid-oriented and friendly for kids. And so the very first thing we did, we said, well, it has to be an experience. If you walk into a kid-related activity, whether that's Chuck E. Cheese or a fairground or whatever it is, it's kid-oriented. It's bright colors, lights, and fun. They've gamified everything so that it's you're speaking their language. So that's what we really wanted to make sure. We're not just a curriculum. We have a world-class curriculum, and we'll talk more about that in just a minute, but we're much more than just the curriculum. We're an experience. We're an edutainment experience. I often equate it to, baking spinach into their birthday cake. Kids love it. They're going to want more of it, but they're actually getting a little bit of good in there too, and that's a really great kind of concept. And I think that's what we started with, and it separates us from the pack. And that's why we're seeing the success. It's our high priority, and parents see results. That doesn't mean they don't learn anything. They're going to be very proficient in a couple of different languages probably by the time they leave. But the highest priority is they always have fun. They always come in, and as they're learning, they have a great time. So we do that. We execute that better than anybody else, and we do that through 3 different means. The first meaning is the only required program that we have is called the drop-in program. This is a year-round program. We don't stop it during the summer or any other time. It's always ongoing. So the way the drop-in works is it uses the year-round curriculum, which is 9 belts, white through black belt. Each one of those belts builds upon concepts to make the next belt more advanced. Each belt, though, they're building their own games. They're building something from their own imagination. So their games get more and more complex as they go through. The drop-in program is also unique because we took into consideration parents' needs. Parents are, taxiing their kids around all the time. They have 4 or 5 different events going on, most of them, and, it's just really hard to fit something else in their schedule. So by definition, the drop-in program is that they can come in whenever they have time for 1 hour, 2 times a week. And parents absolutely love that concept because most parents, their kid goes into the dojo, which is separated from the lobby, and some of the parents sit in the lobby with their headphones on, and that's the best 55 minutes of silence that they get all day. And they'll tell us that rather often. Mom has, got a lot going on, and she gets to have a few minutes to herself, and it's great. We also give her free Wi-Fi. We give them free coffee and water. Some of the moms come, and they just run around the building. That's their exercise hour. Do a jog around our entire little retail center. And that's when they get their exercise in, and it works out great for them. So we really wanted to make sure that, yes, the kids have to have fun as our highest priority. Yes, they have to learn something because it is edutainment, not just entertainment. but we wanted to make sure that parents were well taken care of. If you're like me and you're a parent of a couple of kids, you go to a lot of events where you're probably the second-rate citizen in that event. They probably stuck you on a bench in a corner, or maybe even didn't give you that luxury. I've had to sit on the floor at many a taekwondo dojo. So whenever we built this, I wanted to make sure that we took care of parents and made sure that they had a place to feel like it was their own. Not only that, though, but they're probably not familiar with coding in general. So we wanted to make sure that as they go through, the parent portal is going to give them feedback as their kid is finishing a project. Why was this project important? How does this build on skills? What skills did he learn, or he or she learn? Where in the big picture of things is he doing, and how does he compare to other kids his age going through the program? So a lot of haptic feedback, just as it happens, just giving them emails and communicating with them in the way that they want to. If they don't want that email, they just opt out. If they just want to talk to the center director directly and go through where that student is in the process, that's great. We want to talk to the parents the way they want to be communicated with. So that really encompasses the second part of this, and I think that separates us from the other people out there in that we're fulfilling a child's want in that they're building their own video games, and a parent's need that they think their kids need to learn. If you go to code.org and you can go to the statistics and numbers section, it'll show you that 90% of parents believe their kids need to learn how to code in order to fulfill the jobs of the future, jobs that don't even exist today. And we're helping to fill that gap in a big way. It's something I'm proud of. I learned how to code at a very, very young age, and I know that the problem-solving skills and that you learn during programming, it changes the way you think. It changes the way you think for a better. It makes all the problem-solving logic that you go throughout your life a little bit different and I think a little bit better. So I'm proud that we're making a big difference in impacting kids' lives in that way. The second way that we have a program is we still use the year-round curriculum, but it's called the after-school program. And basically this is we go and pick up the students from the schools. We bring them back to the center. They have a snack if their parents pack them one, and they do their homework. We don't tutor them. This isn't a tutoring center, but we are adults, so we can look over their shoulder and kind of help them through their process there. If they don't have any homework, they work on some kind of STEM activity. Every day, every Tuesday and Thursday at our center, they're going to go through the year-round curriculum. So it's still just like the drop-in. They do it 2 times a week for an hour. But in the after-school program, we obviously keep them more frequently, so they only do it 2 days a week. We pick them up from school 5 days a week, but they only do the curriculum, the year-round curriculum, 2 days a week. The other Monday and Wednesday of that week, they're going to work on some other over-the-counter products. It's usually like the snap circuits or one of the board games that are coding related, and they have a blast for an hour doing some coding-related activity. And then after that activity is over on a Monday through Thursday, they just their parents come pick them up. On Friday, after they do their homework, it's really kind of a free-for-all. We just let them play because everybody just needs a fun day. And that's the after-school program. We charge $450 in Pearland for that program. We just started it last month, and the reception's been really, really good. The third way, and a very important way, we're moving into the summer here, is that the summer camps. The summer camps are super flexible. We call them summer camps because the majority of the nation has summer off, but I know a couple of North Carolinians and a few other states have year-round school where they go in 6 weeks on, 6 weeks off, and these camps are flexible enough that you could use them in that way too. But the summer camps, we have 4 different programs. They're going to be half-day and full-day during the summer. A half-day camp starts at 8 and ends at 12. A full-day camp starts at 8 and ends at 4, with a little break in the middle for a lunch that's packed by their parents. The only difference between those two camps is that in the afternoon, kids stay and play Minecraft or continue working on whatever STEM activity they want to work on. There's no more senseis that are needed. There's no more instruction done in the afternoon. It's just really an extended time for them to continue their work. We charge $200. This year, we're going to charge $250 for the half day and I believe $400 for the full day. And there'll be various discounts and things like that along the way. But another cool factor of our summer camp program is that we give them a voucher. On Thursday before they leave, we give them a 7-day voucher. And that voucher says, if you get back with us and sign up for the after-school program or the drop-in program within 7 days of attending this summer camp, we'll go ahead and apply all the money you spent on the summer camp to your first month in the drop-in or after-school program. And so this is a great lead-in. We've seen extremely high turnover conversion on those vouchers. And it's just an exciting period whenever you're coming out of summer and you've got a big group of people. So exciting times. In just a minute, I'm going to open up a question and answer session so that you guys can answer your own question. You can answer your own questions so that you guys can ask me some questions and hopefully I can answer them for you. Just so you know that none of these are softballs. I don't have any questions staged prior to the call. I want you to ask anything that comes to mind, and hopefully I can get you the best answer. If I can't, I'm going to follow up with you as best I can. There's only one question, and it's an important one that I cannot answer, and I wish I could, but it's just a federal law. Anything that leads to profitability or top-line revenue, I can't talk about anything other than what's in the FDD. The FDD says that we made a little over $35,000 and had 68 kids in our first 54 days of business. So that's all I can tell you as it alludes to revenue. But anything on the expenses side, I can definitely help out with and talk to you about. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and start the Q&A session. In order to ask a question, to put yourself in the queue, you just raise your hand virtually by putting in *6 in your phone. That's *6. Wait just a minute. Nobody's in the queue yet. Some other things that are coming down the line this year are pretty exciting. We have a lot of new products that we're offering. We got a couple new camps that are coming out. So just keep in mind that we always add to our program as we move along. Quite a few calls and questions. Now I'm going to jump in there. Hi, how are you doing? Go ahead and give me your name and the city you're calling from.
Hi, this is Sean. I'm calling from Algonquin, Illinois.
Hi, Sean.
Hi. Just wondering if you have location-specific information that you can give about, locations that are listed on the site as TBD. How do you find out about, more, specific details about those?
So all those TBDs are territories that have already sold. So
okay.
The ones that are in the enrolling now are the ones that are soft opening, and the ones that are on the top, I think it's just Pearland right this second, but after this weekend we'll have a couple more up there. Those are the ones that are fully open. Okay, so all the ones that are kind of in the future category, that means that those have already sold. And if you want to talk about territories or where you might be possible to go, the best people to reach out to are either Jeff or Marty. They can really hone in and give you a lot of demographic breakdowns and work with you on a great territory.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great.
Hi, my name is Jacob Gleason. I'm in Kingwood, Texas.
Hi, Jacob.
I had a question. Where do you find instructors and how do you train them?
That's a great question, Jacob. Our instructors come from the AP classes in the high school, as well as some junior classmen in the colleges. And the way we find them is we reach out to the teachers that are kind of overseeing the clubs that we think are aligned with what we do. Honestly, they're the kids that I would have hung out with in high school. You know, what we called nerds back in my day. They're kind of the cool kids now, apparently. But yeah, so we go to the chess club, the math club, the robotics team. A big push for us was the robotics team, and we get those guys in, we train them up, and we keep a pretty big bench, because our center's going pretty well now. So, but at the beginning, you probably only need 1 or 2 of those guys, and then you'll just add people as you grow.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, this is Edmund from Houston. I had a question about just cost structure. Could you speak to kind of what the cost structure for a center is?
Sure. The main costs that you're going to incur are going to be your rent, of course, your property or your lease. You're going to have overhead for paying your employees, and then probably any kind of loan that you have to get in order to facilitate opening. So those are your 3 main points. Did you have anything specific that you wanted about expenses?
Yeah, wondering about, kind of what the breakdown is between employee costs, fixed and variable, that type of thing.
Sure. The best way to get that specific information, and we want to go over that into detail with you, but we have a prospectus that's a kind of a demo, and you just need to fill in some blanks for your area and your market. Everywhere it's so different, it's hard for me to really generalize it. But Marty or Jeff can help you go through that document on the expense side and help you fill in some of those blanks. Okay?
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joseph Green from Miami. I think the guy before already asked my expense question, so it's okay if you move on.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Ahmed from Virginia, and I had 2 questions. First one is who pays the expenses for the machines and the equipment that's going to be used in the facility, and the second one is, do you give franchises to two different people in the same city?
Okay, those are great questions. I think franchising in general, what you need to know is that all the expenses in the franchise center, whether that's the equipment or the employees or whatever goes on, that's almost always paid by the franchisee. Okay, so anything that goes on the ground in your specific territory, that's going to be your responsibility, whether that's paying your insurance or whatever. What we do as a corporation is we bring you as much support as we possibly can. We give you the curriculum, we give you operations guys, we give you communications tools, we do marketing, all the things that we can to help you be successful. We give you the program. We put the structure around it. And then we also give you quite a few vendors that we vetted and make sure they understand our brand, what you can and cannot do, so that you don't waste any time or money on things that are outside of the brand. So we bring those to the table, and those are really, really helpful. So you don't have to go looking around for people to supply you with, the pictures on the walls or the carpet or anything like that. Okay?
Okay.
Did you have another question?
Yes. Do you give franchising like to 2 different people in the same city?
Sure, yeah. So a place as big as Houston, we probably end up with 10 or so franchisees total. I mean, there's probably 20 to 30 territories possible in a city as big as Houston. Dallas already has about 12 to 16, I can't remember the exact number, territories sold, and that's 3 to 5 franchisees. I don't remember off the top of my head, but yeah. So a given city, depending on its size, if it's a smaller city that has good metrics and we feel like it can support a center, we may only have 1. For example, College Station, there was absolutely no way to have more than 1 there, right? That's a pretty small city, but we felt like the demographics supported having a location, and they're well underway to opening in College Station, Texas. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Great.
Hi, I was wondering if you might, this is Ashley from Bozeman, Montana. Wondered if you could talk a little bit more about the robotics side of things.
Yeah, that's a great question. I forgot to mention it earlier. We do have a licensed robotics kit. We are the exclusive licensee for this kit. That they use it in Japan in about 1,300 different schools, and the curriculum is already built and translated into English. In fact, we've already taken it and ninjafied it, with our caricatures and added some of our branding to it. That is called the Ninja Toolbox. Within the year-round curriculum, the first 4 belts, that's white belt, yellow belt, orange belt, and green belt, each student to pass that belt will have to do 4 different activities from their Ninja Toolbox. That Ninja Toolbox retails for around $160 to the parents, and you get it for around $125. So it's a nice little profit center for you as well.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So what most people ask whenever we talk about the robotics kits as well is, is it different than, say, a Lego Mindstorm or something? And I would say it's significantly different than that, in that the blocks they're configured different, and it's just more robust. I think it offers a lot more opportunity for kids to do a little more complex things. So just be aware it's similar, but not. I think it's a little bit different in some ways. Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you have a minimum and maximum square footage on the recommendation for the facilities?
Yes, in our FDD it says 1,200 to 3,200 square feet. Now, my personal recommendation to you is that you don't go below 1,600 square feet, just because the number of kids that you can fit in the center is pretty limited at 1,200 square feet. We do have one center opening that's about 1,208 square feet, and it was just pretty tight. So the maximum is kind of an arbitrary number. When I built the Pearland Center, it was 3,200 square feet, and I couldn't imagine anybody wanting to go bigger than that. It was just huge. But we did have a franchisee up in Omaha that wanted to go bigger than that, and I think they have a 3,800 square foot facility. So these are general guidelines. I don't think we would approve anything under 1,200 square feet for sure. But if you really wanted to get big, I don't know that we would stop you if the economics and we thought the city could support it.
Okay. Are you? I live in Pearland, and that's your headquarters, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you located near 288 or Telegraph?
So our headquarters is in the Pearland Town Center.
Okay,
and
288 area.
And our center is west of 288 on the southwest corner of Kingsley and Broadway.
Okay.
Kind of in the middle of Shadow Creek Ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would ask that you don't go over there and visit without an accompaniment from headquarters. If you're interested in franchising, that's run independently as a franchise unit, and so we don't want to upset operations there.
I understand. I'll get in touch with Marty for further details.
There you go. And I'm happy to
recommendation.
Since you're a local guy, I'm happy to run down there and visit with you ad hoc. So just let me know when you have some time.
All right. And this is Theo Camlin, by the way.
Okay, great. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, how are you? Hello?
Hi, this is Rebecca Ross from Denver, Colorado.
Hi, Rebecca.
I have several questions. In the talk that you gave, you talked about the after-school program. You're currently charging $450. Is that per week or per month?
That's per month. All those, we do have some minimum pricing on that, but for the most part, that is going to be up to the franchisee to set those prices.
Okay.
So I think the minimum on that is $300 for the after-school program a month. So
and you talked about picking them up from their schools. So do you have a van that does that? Do you contract that out to some other service? Or does your center actually have a van and have somebody licensed to transport kids?
Yeah, so our center, we bought a van. We wrapped it in its big, beautiful, mobile 15-passenger billboard. And everybody, sees it as we're picking up the kids. And we picked up a couple of new kids just by them seeing it and saying, hey, Mom, did you know Code Ninjas will pick me up from school? And so it's been pretty successful so far.
And does that require, for you to transport children, does that require certain licensing for a driver's license and such, CDL or something?
Every single state is going to be a little bit different, so I recommend you check with Colorado. I'm not sure about the rules there. In Texas, we do not have to have any CDL if we keep the van size in the right proportion. So if we were to get a big, huge bus, like one of those, like more of a traditional school bus that was maybe the Code Ninjas bus or something, we would have to have a CDL. But since it's a traditional, regular brakes bus, it's not required.
Okay.
It's just a big van, essentially.
For the summer camps, do you run those every week, or is it a monthly program?
Yeah, it's a weekly. They're weekly programs. Last year we ran one program at a time. So we ran, let's just say, Minecraft, the Minecraft hacking camp. That was the only one we were running that week. This year, since we have the space available in the dojo, and we kind of know what we're doing a little bit better, we're running two simultaneously each week, and we feel like we can fill up the entire dojo doing that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so then you have the drop-in people generally still continue to come in the afternoon, not necessarily in the morning hours. Say
that again, I'm sorry?
Well, because you say you continue to do the drop-in service all year long. So if you're filling the location with the summer camp in the morning,
right.
I'm assuming not all of them continue in the afternoon, and you continue the drop-in in the afternoon evenings?
Right. So there is a bit of overlap on time right there, but what we've noticed is that at our center, we can get away with that because very, very few kids come in from 3 to 4 o'clock. So we can leave a few desks open for drop-ins to do their thing, because the drop-in program is all self-paced anyway. So we won't have to have any more senseis or anything to help them through that process.
Okay. And then I've been reading through the FDD, and in there it talked about training, about 50 hours worth of training, and currently that happens in Pearland, Texas. Do you have any plans of having it happen elsewhere? And I'm assuming 50 hours means me and whatever team I bring with me would need to be there for an entire week of training?
So the FDD does say that, and that's because we wanted to allow for bigger groups to attend at the same time. What we're seeing in the sizes of the people that are, the sizes of the groups that are coming through right now, that we can get done in about 3 days. But yes, anyone that you designated director or what you might more commonly think of as a manager for that center has to come, and the owners, anybody that's on the owner list has to come as well. We allow up to 3 people as a part of your franchise fee, and you can add additional people for some nominal cost. I'm not sure exactly what the dollar amount is, but it's not very much, a couple $100 or something.
Okay. Do you plan to extend it to other areas of the country, or do you not know when that could happen?
No, we have no plans. We're always going to probably do that, especially the franchisee training. That's probably always going to be done right here in Pearland at headquarters. That's a very common practice. The ongoing training, we could have what we're going to call level ups. We haven't had a chance to do them yet because we're still fairly new, but we're going to have level up camps throughout the country, and someone will travel around and give those kind of just recharge the batteries events, and then also we have our national convention that'll be in July every year. And that'll typically be somewhere other than headquarters.
Okay. And then I did have two questions. Took a look at the curriculum in that one page that gave notes. Talked to my son since he's in engineering and understood all the stuff you guys were putting on that one page. But he did give me two questions to ask. You guys are using Unity 3D, and he wanted me to ask, why did you not go with something such as Unreal Engine instead?
Well, your son is a very astute, scholarly person, I can tell. I was a video game programmer in my youth as well, probably in college, more so than our kids. We went with this because Unreal Engine is extremely advanced. We need to understand what we're trying to produce here too. We're not trying to produce collegiate level graduates through our program. They're going to have a cursory knowledge of programming and problem solving and advanced problem solving skills. And so we have to pick tools that, a 10 and 11-year-old can actually accomplish and complete. And so Unity 3D is a more user-friendly way to accomplish that, an IDE that is more kid-friendly. Even those tools are still very complex, and we have to break it down into very simple terms for the kids to understand it. So while I applaud his effort in going straight for the good ones, there's certainly better engines out there than Unity. But great games can be built with Unity 3D, and it's at a level where kids can understand it.
Okay. And his comment was that he likes the Unreal Engine, and that could be what was influencing his question there. But then he did also, the second one was you guys have chosen to go with JavaScript as opposed to Python or C++, and he just was wondering, in his opinion, Python is easier, and so therefore it should be easier to teach kids. What's your opinion?
Well, obviously, my opinion is that JavaScript is the best choice. I mean, I built the entire curriculum path that we use today. I believe that Python is a great language. I think C++ is a great language, and I think that JavaScript is a great language. I think that professional programmers, can learn any language over the weekend. And once you really understand programming and what programming is about, the language becomes unimportant. It's really about how you think. And so our program, while we do use JavaScript, and I do think it's the best language and the tool for what we're doing, it is just a tool. It is just a means to an end to teach them better ways to think. Does that make sense?
Yes. And since you designed the curriculum, you probably understand what fits better with the verbiage that you're using and the skills and tools you're using. But just based on him looking at it and having a conversation with me, I wanted to ask. So thank you for answering. I'm done with my questions for the time being.
All right, no problem. If you think of something else, jump back in the queue. So that brings up a really good point. I think people come to us with certain expectations, or maybe they think that why don't we go this way or that way or the other way with our curriculum? And really, we have to think about what's our objective. What can a 7 to 14-year-old person accomplish? And I'm not trying to limit them in any way. Obviously, there's going to be outliers. There's going to be people out there that are more advanced than what I'm saying. There's people that are super dedicated, kids that are super dedicated and do immense amount of work on their own time to accomplish far vaster goals than we are going to set out. That said, we have to hit a mass market appeal. We have to keep kids interested, and if we make it too difficult, they'll just drop out, and we don't want that to happen. So we need to keep it I wouldn't say rudimentary because it does get fairly advanced, but we do have to keep it within the realm of possible achievement. So, hi, how are you doing?
Hi, my name is Pratima, and I'm in New Jersey. Just to follow up on the question that the person was asking about Java, Python, I hear you where you say that JavaScript is your choice, but from what I see these days, Python is really picking up, especially because of the cloud. So do you have any plans to incorporate that as well?
So all of our technology is built in the cloud, if that's what you mean. But if you mean something that is specifically...
So Python is a language that most cloud providers are using, Python or Ruby on Rails, for programming the cloud.
Sure. JavaScript is the most prolific language on earth by far. It's not even close. It's about 50% larger than any other language out there. And we use JavaScript because that's a basis that they can go from very simple games all the way to very advanced games. In Python, there aren't tools available. For example, Unity 3D does not allow you to use Python within its engine. Another example is a couple of other tools that we use. So I get what you're saying, but again, the tools or the languages that we use are less important than what we teach them and how to make them think.
Okay.
So,
fair enough. Okay, so my real question was around marketing and advertising. Could you speak more to how you do that at the national level and what kind of help do you provide to the franchisees at the local level?
Absolutely. That's something I love to talk about. Obviously, with our success, we have a pretty good marketing strategy. We know how to reach people, the right people, not just a number of leads, but a number of the right leads that are going to convert and do well for our businesses. And that starts with a 16-week roll-up to your grand opening. So every franchisee is required to spend $5,000 on their grand opening advertising. And we break that down into 16 different weeks, what you need to do, what corporate's going to do, and what's we do have a required vendor in there that's going to do your PR outreach as well. So, and what they're going to do. So every single step on the process leading up into that is already handled. Additionally, we set up a sub-account on your Facebook feed so that you get all the feed from corporate headquarters in your local feed as well. Now, you can go ahead and update anything. If you have pictures or videos that you took locally, you can upload that, and you have access to, and management rights to your account. But you get the benefit of having that kind of regular content-driven marketing feed into yours. Additionally, we have partners available that will handle all of the different digital marketing strategies that you might want to use. If you want to go print, we have different print layouts for ads. We have that we can customize for you for about $25. We don't try to make any money. It's just a little bit of a time and convenience fee. So we can customize those with your phone number, your address, and your specific location pretty easily. Does that answer your question?
So if we can get into a little more details as to how that local vendor is going.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You're super muffled.
So could you get into a little bit more specifics on how that local vendor is going to do the marketing here? You said your vendor gets assigned for the local PR. What exactly do they do?
So honestly, I am not a PR person, but what they're going to do is they're going to reach out to your local schools, municipalities, newspapers, and all that kind of stuff, and engage with them. They have writers across the country. The name of the company is Fishman PR, is our vendor. They're the largest franchise-focused PR organization in the world, as far as I know. So they have contacts all across the country in almost every market to get articles written, to get excitement going around your community, papers and radio and everything.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi, Mike. Can you speak up just a little bit?
Yes, it's Mike from Conroe, Texas, just down the road from y'all.
There you go. Hi.
How you doing today?
Good.
On the licensing fees, I have a few questions. One, is this a one-time fee? Does it have any variable associated with it, like if you have 20 students or 100 students? Are there any restrictions on when you want to exit the business and sell it as to any restrictions on selling the business?
Sure. Great questions. So technically we don't have a license fee. We are a franchise, and those are two different kind of concepts, and I just have to legally distinguish between those. We have a franchise fee. Now, any of the materials that we sell or distribute, all of our curriculums that we develop internally, we don't charge any extra pricing or license fee for those on an individual student basis.
Okay.
Now, there may be a time when we want to test out, or you might want to have us bring on a corporate sponsor, a corporate third-party curriculum or summer camp or something like that, and there may be attached license fees with that we would not try to make any money on. It would just be a simple pass-through fee in order for you to do that. Does that answer your first question?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay, great. The second question is how do we stand in your way of selling your business? And what I would say is typically we understand that most business owners, especially small business owners, get in the business to sell it, to build it up and sell it one day. That's just the way this works. You probably don't want to hand this down to your kids. So we want to facilitate that as much as possible. And one of the cool things about being in a franchise is that, once people are coming to us frequently enough, like they are right now, you get the added benefit of we can help you do that. If you were out there by yourself flying solo and you wanted to sell your business, you got to go to a broker, you got to find, just someone in the cosmos that wants your specific center and you're in Conroe. Well, we have a lot of people coming to us from all over Houston, all over the country and world, really, and they're always looking for great territory. So if you've built up a great brand in your local community, somebody's going to want to buy it, and we help you do that.
Okay. Well, on the demographics, how do you determine, you had mentioned like in Dallas had 15 or 16.
Sure.
In Houston, there's going to be a lot. How do you keep
that's kind
overlapping of franchises and things like that?
Yeah, so I don't want to go into too much of the demographic breakdown. That's a little bit of our secret sauce there, but I will tell you that our territories don't overlap, and that's kind of new. Well, we don't have major encroachment. They may have a quarter-mile overlap or something like that, but it's not like if you have a 2-mile radius, we're not going to open a center at 2.1 miles. And most franchises that is the case. They will open at 2.1 miles. What we said is it's not in our best interest just to have people stacked up next to each other fighting for the same students. We cast a wide net because we feel like you guys are going to be broader and be able to catch more students that way, and that's in all of our best interest. So we don't stack them up super deep. Does that answer your question?
Mm-hmm. Would it be possible, or have y'all considered the restriction being to like a school district, to where you would have the franchise?
The problem with that is they just change school districts so often. Since my kids, my oldest is 11, and they've changed it. So we really don't go by a specific school district. We go by a radius, which is very typical in franchising.
Okay. Good. Let's see. I think, have you thought about, or if you wanted to take y'all's franchise and then also do it in conjunction with something like Mathnasium that specializes in another STEM type of approach into one area? Are you forbidden for using other franchises or anything like that?
Yes, we are definitely a single brand facility.
Okay. But there's
we
nothing
will not approve or allow any other curriculums into our centers to run side by side or simultaneously.
Okay.
Is that your last question?
Yes, sir, it is. And thank you very much.
All right. I look forward to visiting you in Conroe one day.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thanks, David.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Baru. I'm calling from New Jersey.
Hi, Baru.
My question is regarding curriculum. So will we be given access to the curriculum before we decide on choosing the franchising, or is it only after we sign or only after we commit? When do we get access to the curriculum?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. And as you know, our curriculum is our bread and butter there, so to speak, right? We don't want that to get out in the cosmos too far. So what that means is when you come to Discovery Day, we have a few lessons that kind of gives you an introduction to how we do things. And we go over our game development portal, and you can see that. And there's even certain materials that you can bring home with you and analyze at home. But in general, we don't give access to our curriculum until after you come to new franchisee training and set up your grand opening date. There's a lot of reasons for that. Mainly I just don't want somebody paying, our competition paying $20,000 acting like a franchisee and then getting the keys to the kingdom. I got to protect our existing franchisees as well as our brand in that way.
Yeah, I totally understand. And talking about the Discovery Day, so how does it typically work? Do people decide on getting the franchises and then attend the Discovery Day, or they come there and then do they think about it and they get back to you? How does it typically work?
Most people come to Discovery Day, and about 80% of them within, 20 to 30 days are going to become franchisees. We have some criteria now to come to our Discovery Day events. It's not just a free-for-all or an open season. You have to be invited. We do some spot checks to make sure you understand what you're getting into, that you're really serious about it. We don't want just somebody kicking the tires. So if you still have questions and you're not sure, if you're not 80% sure that you're going to go through with this, it's probably just best that you wait and hold off a little bit, ask more questions, research a little bit more, and then when you feel like you're there, you're like, yeah, I just need to go meet the team, get a little more excitement and to push me over the edge and where I want to go. Then you can come to Discovery Day.
Sounds good. And I have one more question. I know with the computer and development and programming, it's a constantly changing environment. It's not a stagnant environment. So do you have a game plan? How often will there be a curriculum revision?
We release revisions every quarter, but major revisions every quarter. But minor revisions are going on all the time. And I don't want to go into how those happen or the frequency because that's part of our operation,
I totally understand. Yeah.
But they're always being developed. Yeah, the curriculum is always changing and being upgraded, and we're fixing errors. Frankly, we're adding new ways to do things, or if JavaScript changes or something, we have to update. So,
right. And just another question. I'm sorry to keep adding. I remember you said from every center 2 or 3 people will be trained. So do all 2 or 3, whoever is coming, have to do the training in one shot, or can they have it done separately?
We can work with you on that.
Okay.
It's not ideal if you don't all come together, because I think it's a fun experience that you can all share together, and it builds a culture of teamwork internally. But if you absolutely have to split it up, we can work with you.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much. Appreciate your help.
Right. No problem.
Hi, this is Jake in Kingwood again. So one of my questions, and this is based on, I guess, the interest level here. For ownership, do you anticipate being able to be an absentee or partially absentee owner, or do you anticipate all of your owners to be fully invested here? Meaning, can I keep my day job?
Well, yes, obviously, yeah. We have a lot of franchisees that have a regular 9-to-5 kind of gig. Then they have a director on site that runs their facilities for them. I expect you to be as involved as needed to make your center successful. However, I think that means you probably burn the midnight oil a few nights a week to make sure the books are right and you're doing some stuff. it's not going to be set it and forget it style. You're going to have to do some work, but you can designate a director at the facility. Sure.
Okay. Yeah, and because I say that because like Chick-fil-A and other franchises, they really want you on-prem and they're most of the time. So I'm just and so along those lines, what are the hours of your typical hours of operations? When do you have people actually manning the center?
Yeah, so our director is there from about 10 in the morning to about 7 at night every day. Sometimes she comes in at 11. You know, we're very flexible with her time because we do have some kind of crazy one-offs, and you know, and she does have to work a little bit more sometimes. So, but in general, she's there during the day doing some administrative things, cleaning up, checking the checklist that the senseis gave her from the day before, setting tours, you know, making phone calls and emails, and just doing her general daily accounting.
Okay, and then your students and your instructors show up around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock?
Instructors will come in about 3. Like I said earlier, we're actually open technically for kids to come in at 3, but we rarely have any come in that early. A couple do every now and then, but most of the kids start showing up around 4:30.
Okay, and then you typically shut down about 7 o'clock?
Yeah, so we start taking new kids into the center. Like they can't just show up and expect to have their hour after 6 o'clock. So they can drop them off anytime from 3 to 6. And then we also recently opened on the weekend from 10 to 2.
And then one final question for you. You're talking about summer camps. Do you guys have any plans to offer spring break camps?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. All those are modular, so you can use them for whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you just.
Because I was looking for something for my kids to do during spring break.
Oh yeah, sure. We'll have a spring break. I think we have Minecraft scheduled at our center for spring break.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. That's a special course called Hacking Minecraft, where they get to build their own 3D models and then they bring them to life within the Minecraft world on a shared server for our center. It's pretty neat.
Hi, this is Rebecca Ross from Denver again.
Hi.
Previously, when they were talking about the license fee, it reminded me of a question I had. The website was saying that there was an introductory franchise fee of $20,000, and then the FDD talks about different dollar amounts. So, are you still doing franchise fees at just $20,000 right now, or does it really depend on when we actually sign that franchise agreement?
Yes and yes. So we are still doing a $20,000 franchise fee. If you buy 4 or more, we are not really awarding 4 or more except in extremely special circumstances. But in that case, you would get each one at $18,500 apiece. This is, and I say yes and no because we're yes and yes because we're actually changing that in our next FDD. So these prices are definitely going to change after April. This is going to be the last few months that you can get your franchise fees at this discounted rate. We've seen enormous growth, obviously, over the last year, and just the general interest is such that we can make it a little bit more. So.
Okay,
Hello?
That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Hi, this is Darren from Georgia.
Hi, Darren.
Hi. I apologize. I came on a bit late. I had a conflict. So I don't know if my questions have already been asked or answered. But I'll start with the easiest one. What is the typical salary for the director?
You know, that's going to vary regionally. What we found is that we incentivize the sales process because the director is also kind of your point man on sales. So we have a pretty low salary, $35,000 or $40,000, and then we incentivize by some percentage of the sales or whatever your metric is that you're trying to hit. You know, everybody has some different objectives, but we give them some percentage of sales. Either that's the total number of students or bonuses when they hit a certain number a week, or maybe it's just a flat rate per sale, but some kind of incentive to keep the numbers right.
Gotcha. Okay, sounds good. And you mentioned that the curriculum is your, secret source. That sounds a little bit strange to me because it wouldn't be very hard to get the curriculum once you open up and you start teaching kids. So besides the curriculum, what's keeping?
Here's how it's a little bit harder. You may not realize is that they're in book forms. They're physical books that the kids use in the dojo. And they're not allowed to leave the dojo, and adults aren't allowed in the dojo. So you will get them once you're open. Obviously, you'll be able to use them, but it's as a franchisee, it's in your best interest to keep those secret. And so we kind of have them on lockdown in the dojo in special places. Does that make sense?
Yeah, somewhat. Okay.
Yeah, and even if you got a hold of one, it's not going to be lasting very long because we do major releases every quarter. So what I'm saying is it's not in our best interest to just let people copy our curriculum without at least putting up a fight.
Right. Okay. No, that makes sense. And another question was, I do software development, and I know it's not exactly easy or fun. So I'm just really curious as to how you keep kids engaged with material that's not exactly it's not fun. It
certainly can be dry. I'll agree with you there. I mean, anybody that's picked up a Teach Yourself to Code in 24 Hours book and didn't make it through the first couple of hours because you fell asleep understands that coding is not exactly the light of the world. This is some pretty dry material sometimes. The way we do it is through gamification. So we build games out, and then they finish them. We have given them plenty of time to play between concepts, play the game that they just built. We don't have a ton of reading involved, which is it's more pictorial and demonstration than it is like, let's get into the fundamentals of programming theory. And this is not a computer science degree, right? And so we can skip over some of that.
Okay. But they are sitting down and actually putting fingers to keyboard and actually typing in code.
Yeah, and they love it. And I know it sounds crazy, but they really want that game to finish, and they want to be able to show their parents, and they want to get the reward system, and they want the points in the system, and it gets a little bit infectious for them. We've gamified the whole thing in such a way that they really love it.
Okay, awesome. Final question. So this is somewhat of a high-end service, right? So you're asking, parents who have that, financial flexibility to pay for the kids to take a coding class, which is not like math, which is actually required for school. We've enjoyed a pretty good run with the economy for so far, and it's been over 10 years now. So eventually there'll be a downturn. How do you see this playing out in a weaker economy?
Yeah, I think this goes back to the concept that all 90%, that's 9 out of 10 parents, believe that their kids need this. It's not like they would just want them to learn it. It'd be nice to have. They understand that what's coming tomorrow is not what they had today. They believe that their kids have to be prepared for tomorrow in order to talk with engineers, in order to do simple jobs or jobs that are not related to code. They need to know the primer, right? They have to have some kind of working knowledge of it. And they also know that schools and public education and even private schools aren't doing it. And so I think we're filling that gap on that need side for the parents. And I agree with you. There could be a downturn. But, I think mathnasium would go down just as much because, how important is a 7th grade math score really in the grand scheme of things? I don't think anybody would not feel the effects of a downturn in the economy, and we got to be prepared for that. But also know that summer camps aren't going to go away. I know that parents still have to have an outlet for their kids' imaginations, and I think that going into a place that the kids love to go to, who are, our number one thing that kids asked for when we surveyed them was that they could come more often. I can guarantee you a mathnasium does not have that in their survey.
Okay.
So I think the kids are going to keep them engaged too at a different level.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. It was great questions, man. I mean, as a programmer, I can appreciate a critical mind, and I can tell you're going through the motions there and thinking through all the problems, and I like that.
Hi, this is Ashley from Bozeman again. We have a rather large homeschool contingency here in Bozeman. Is that something you guys have accounted for or tried to involve?
We have the highest population of homeschoolers per capita in Houston. It's an enormous community of people here, and we really have made some efforts to reach out to them because, hey, the center's sitting pretty much empty during the day. Why not have some kids come in during the day? It has not been as effective as we had hoped. We have not found a strategy to really reach into the groups. We got in touch with them. They came to the center. We gave presentations, and they loved it. They loved the concept. The problem is they didn't want to pay for it, and they didn't want it in any kind of way that made logical sense. So if we wanted to do something like that, it would have to be kind of a loss leader just to get kids interested in our local communities that otherwise might not come. But I just didn't see right now. I don't see a viable solution. What I would love to have is to be able to get in touch with one of these national co-op groups, and we set down some consistent pricing for all of our franchisees, and that's what corporate does. We work on the big deals. And if you can find some people in your local area that want to do it, we're all for it. I mean, let's work with you to figure out how to make it work.
Okay. The other question is have you talked to any of either the private schools or public schools about putting this in their programming? Is that something that has come up at all?
I know that some of the other franchisees have, and they've worked out a couple of deals where they bus them to their centers during the daytime to do like a once-a-week field trip and go through the curriculum as a kind of augmentation because they don't want to teach coding education in their school. Okay. There's a few other hurdles to get over with that, but it's a state-by-state thing. But we definitely worked that out. Here in Houston, we have not had very many opportunities to do that. We just haven't found the right school to partner with. Another thing that's coming this year very soon is called the Dojo to Go. And I was kind of hesitant to make an announcement about it, but it's going to be a 28-foot trailer that we can pull into such establishments like this private school. We can bring the dojo to them. It's fully branded. It's a huge 28-foot billboard. If you've ever seen things like the game trucks or things like that you can play video games in, it's much like that. We have big screen TVs in there, and we have 12 to 15 stations for kids to build robotics kits, work on their laptops and do all kinds of cool stuff. So that's coming as an optional add-on to each one of your centers so that you can go out into your community and host these edutainment events.
Okay. And what's the certain age range or like a minimum age and then a maximum age on these? I know you said parents are not allowed in the dojo, but at what age do you cut kids off at?
Yeah, so our age range is 7 to 14. On the bottom side, it's really about how well they can stay focused and read. We don't find too many 6-year-olds that can sit there for 50 minutes and do their thing without getting distracted by shiny things and squirrels. So the real bottom factor is how much they can focus and read. The upper limit on the 14 side, we're not going to if somebody joins us at 14 years old and then they turn 15, we're not kicking them out. So it's we just don't want you to start in high school early because there's just such a huge gap in age from the little kids. And our branding really doesn't match that type of business. So
fair enough. Okay. All right.
Cool.
And then I have not received the prospectus yet. Do I get that from Marty?
Yeah, if you're working with Marty, he can certainly send that over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll get in touch with him.
Cool.
Question.
Hi.
It's Henry in Syracuse, Utah. I got a few questions here. Hi. My first one is, if I'm a dad, I want to bring my kids there, is the license or membership fee to get in is that by month, or how is that normally structured? If, is it $39 a month or something like that, or how is that?
So the drop-in program has a minimum price of $150 a month. And in our center, we pay our pricing is $225 a month. Nationally, the average pricing is pegged somewhere about the $210 average. So somewhere in between 200 and
is that every after hours?
I'm sorry, it sounds like you're on a voice over IP phone and it's going all garbly on me. Sorry. Can you ask that question again?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you better now. Thank you.
Okay. So is my kid then will go there for every after hours?
And so there's two different programs that use the year-round curriculum. The drop-in program is 2 times a week for 1 hour each visit. The after-school program is every day, every weekday, and we pick them up and from school, and you pick them up from the center.
Okay, and normally the centers have a contract, something like that, or for 6 months, or how does that work now?
Correct. They have a contract, and that will be worked out between. We give you a sample parent agreement, and your attorney will modify it for your particular state.
But for normal centers, they do have a contract, like 6 months or something like that, or a year.
Month-to-month option. One of the things that we're really big on is that think of all the kind of crummy things that you do as a parent in after-school programs, the things you hate about it, and just take all that stuff away. So if you think that, some people think that having contracts is terrible. So we make sure we give them a month-to-month option. And that month-to-month option is more expensive monthly. But if they come in and they say, you know what, I just want to quit, we just let them quit right then. No 30 days notice, no, gotcha moments. We just let them quit, and I think the onus is on us to make sure that we keep them happy. That's
so the model is be flexible, I guess, for this one.
The model is make mom and dad happy, because one bad review on Facebook is worth 10 happy people that never say anything. So it's hard to overcome that in a neighborhood, and so we just do whatever it takes to make them happy.
Yeah, sounds good. And my last question for you is how you guys don't do financing, of course, right? You guys don't do the financing aspect of things.
No, we don't do it internally. We work with 2 different vendors. One is called Benetrends, and the other one is called Guidance. And as soon as you talk to Jeff or Marty, they will. And these guys know us well. Obviously, we have almost 60 franchisees now. They work with them day in and day out. Almost everybody finances in some way or form.
So they can help us out with business proposal or small business financing or something like that?
Yep, they do SBA loans, they do IRA rollovers, and one of the cool things about the retirement rollover is now that the tax laws have changed, they can roll it over into some kind of C Corp or something, some kind of business that owns the money, and you pay business tax on it instead of individual tax rates, which saves about 50% now that the new tax laws are in place. Pretty cool.
Okay.
So,
that sounds good. So I'll just reach out with Jeff then. Is that for that specific or not? Okay.
Perfect, man.
Thank you.
Well, guys, I have had a great day with you. I hope I've answered all of your questions. The next steps from here really are to get in touch with Marty or Jeff. After you get in touch with them, they're going to probably ask you for some information, fill out Make sure you've used the prospectus properly. Go over those numbers with you. Make sure you understand really what we're all about and what you're getting yourself into. If we go through all those steps there, they're going to invite you to Discovery Day if we feel like you're a viable franchisee for us. We're pretty particular of who we give our kids away to here. You know, each one of our franchise locations is like a kid to us, you know, so we got to make sure you're going to take good care of it. But if that's the case, then, you know, we should see you pretty soon at a Discovery Day. Our timelines are pretty aggressive. We you know, people are wanting to get these things open in their markets and start making money as quick as possible. And we've seen a lot of excitement. People who join the calls, come to Discovery Day, are become franchisees with a very high rate of conversion. So you're in the first couple of steps here. The next step is to reach out to Marty and Jeff. If you have not, somehow you got on this call and you have not talked to either one of them, I want you to reach out to Marty. Marty is our Vice President of Franchising, and he can either take you on himself or shoot you over to Jeff. And his email address is Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, at codeninjas.com. That's Marty, M-A-R-T-Y, at codeninjas.com. And he's the best person to get in touch with for first contact. All right, guys, I really appreciate your time. I know it's valuable. You got 100,000 things going on every day, and especially on a Friday, but I appreciate you being here with me today. I hope I answered all your questions. Take care, guys. Have a great weekend.